Hello, it's Black History Month, and I just want to share some of my favorite artists. Some of them I did not learn about when I was going to school for art many years ago, and I have learned about since. I'm not an art historian, so I'm just kind of presenting them to you and with the hope that maybe you'll want to learn more about them. So I will start with artists who have their birthdays this month. And Allison Saar, I'm going to show you some of her mom's work too. William Ellsworth Artist. Horace Pippin, one of my very favorites. And Augusta Savage, and they are all Black artists who have birthdays. And not that he is Black, Norman Rockwell, you probably have heard of, so that's the only reason I point him out, and you've probably seen that picture before. Anyway, so the first artist I will briefly just talk about is Betty Saar, and I just showed you Allison's, one of her pieces of art. They both do a lot of assemblage, which means they might find things, places, and put them together, but then also paint them or add their own like sculpture or something to them. So that's, their art is very powerful, and that's the only word I can use for it. So be prepared if you look her up. William Johnson, I just love his stuff because it's bright and simple, but then again, not so simple. There's details that he adds that I just love. And I believe these are paintings, and I forgot to look, but I believe they're paintings. Look at the dress, I just love it. Here we have William Tanner's artwork, and if you notice, the colors he uses, that's a real photograph of him, by the way, but the colors he used are very different than what we just looked at. And his approach to art is very different, especially to Betty Saar, who I believe is still alive. Oh dear, I can't remember now, or she just passed. That's terrible, I have to check. Jacob Lawrence, and I always get fooled because this picture looks like it was taken yesterday. He lived a while ago though. He is very famous for his paintings that he did of the Great Migration. So if you're not sure what the Great Migration is, maybe you need to come borrow this book and learn about it. And once again, his work seems very simply drawn or painted, but there are details that are so important that they add. Like that, love it. Samantha Lewis. A little somber, but still so beautiful. Then we have Faith Ringgold. And this is one of the actual books that we have in our library. She's an artist, a painter, a quilter, and they call her a visual storyteller. And I was lucky enough to see her artwork years ago, and it was mostly quilts and stuffed figures, and it was just amazing. So she just does a lot of stuff. She is still alive. She's 90 years old. So those are the 3 books that I was thinking about the day I made this that I love. Edmonia Lewis, she was a sculptor, but there is a painting by her here. Can you imagine doing this? This is incredible. Look at that. And I believe this is a print, like from a wood block, but once again, I didn't double check, so I can't remember. Then we have Hayden Palmer, who another one I had no idea about. Some of his paintings are like on street scenes. They're really cool, but I had done a thing about folk heroes a while back, the Tall Tales, and he did Paul Henry. So if you don't know who Paul Henry is, you might want to look him up. And this is the real tunnel that he worked on, maybe. So then we move on to Aaron Douglas, who, you know, like, just think about all these artists I'm showing you and their artwork. It's all so different. And that's a mural. Gorgeous. Oh, gorgeous, gorgeous. Did some murals. And his art is like transparent, translucent. So you can see one figure or shape behind the other. You can see right through them. Very cool. Augusta Savage, I just think she's so beautiful. I know. And her artwork, of course, is too incredible. And here is this lovely, amazing book of hers about her, Barwick. And then we have Horace Pippin, who lived near Goshen. And I read this book on another post, so you might want to look for it. It's an awesome book. And like I said, he lived in Goshen for a while. And he painted on anything he could find, or drew on anything he could find. But you know what? He used everyday life. That's from World War II. So that maybe isn't everyday life, but then we have supper time, breakfast. There's not a milkman anymore, but that was everyday life then. The domino players playing games. Well, we don't do this anymore either, unless you have to, washing your clothes. And I always think of my grandmother, not that she smoked a pipe, but I think for some reason that reminds me of her. And maple sugaring. And John Brown. So you might want to find out who John Brown is. Oh, and that's a real picture of him. Once again, it's kind of weird. It looks like a real thing. So what you have to do, what I want you to do, is look around the house and see what you have to draw on or draw with. These are all here at the library, but I do have lots of paintbrushes at home, colored pencils, oil pastels, markers, crayons, find whatever you can. My grandmother used to cut open a paper bag for us to draw on. It wasn't very exciting, but what are you gonna do? Thanks, Grandma. So I tried, and Horace Pippin said he drew from memory. So I tried to draw this from memory, and it's not great. It's my mom making lasagna in our old house. And this was like a little work space, but there was the heat came from down here, so there was a cutout here so the heat could come through, and we used to hide in there, get warm, or just, it was fun. All right, so I cheated. I used regular paper, see whatever you can find, and then I was here in the library and I found this piece of wood, and I said, ooh, I could paint on that. So I'm going to, but I'll just show you how I would get started. And I kind of would get my idea on here. Oops. Painting and filming at the same time is not easy. So what I would do, I always do it this way, but if you're a painter, people paint different ways. And this is hard to paint on. So I would keep going over it, or just sketch out my idea first. and then I'm gonna go back and fill it in later. So, they would be mom bending over, doing whatever. So what I would do is get my ID on here and then keep adding details. And if I keep working on it, it's gonna change a lot. So I will work on this and I will probably put up a picture of it when it's done. Hope you watched the whole video and look up some of these artists. Bye-bye.